Cortez delivers. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone! Gibby, meet Freddie. Game 1 of the World Series.
An iconic moment in Dodger history, an iconic moment in baseball history. The voice you heard right there, of course, none other than the voice of Dodger baseball, the voice of Major League Baseball on Fox as well, Mr. Joe Davis. Joe, thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
Appreciate you a great deal.
Of course. Great to be here.
So you're standing right next to me. You can see it. The hair on my arm is standing up again.
Oh, yeah.
I still hear Kirk Gibson's home run and Vin's call back in 1988. I was a junior in high school, and I hear it still. And hair on the back of your neck goes up. Tell me what it's like to have your voice associated with a moment like that.
Yeah, it is. It's what I grew up dreaming of. You know, you grow up dreaming of doing a particular job, and then if you want to get really specific, it's okay. You want to call like a walk-off home run in the World Series or something crazy like that. Crazy enough to be in that chair to actually get the gig that I've dreamt of, and then a moment like that, similar to like Freddie steps into the box, this is the moment he's always dreamt of. Mm-hmm. As he does, me sitting there in the booth, that's the moment that I've always dreamt of. So to have it all line up like that and then hopefully have something that was appropriate for the moment come out, because that's the gig, right? Hoping that you can nail it when it happens. I pinch myself often.
Not only did you nail it when it happened, but DeMarco's heard me say this 100 times about Scully's call in 1988. If you said, hey, guys, I'm going to give you 2 weeks to come up with the perfect thing to say in this moment, you're not doing better than Vin Scully did, right?
Right.
And we all know the call. I would say the same thing about what you said. And obviously, play-by-play guys are notorious. They prepare. They try to think about as many different situations as they can. But then it happens. Take me through the process of, okay, it's an extra inning game. It's the New York Yankees. It's a walk-off home run. It's a left-hand. It's all of these similarities that are kind of lining up like it did in 1988. Do you have an idea if there's a base hit, I kind of want to go here. If there's a home run, I kind of want to go there. Or is it just it happened and it comes out?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I had obviously watched the Dodgers all year and for years. And then more important than that, we had the Dodgers whole postseason run on Fox. So we had been watching Freddie Freeman all month limp around. And it's easy at that point to start thinking, hey, could he have his Kirk Gibson moment at some point here in the postseason? Not thinking game 1 of the World Series, you hit a walk-off home run. Even if that was going to be a game-winning hit in the bottom of the 8th or something in the division series, you could make that comparison. Oh, here's a Dodger star who's overcome an injury to have a big hit. So you're thinking about it every day, and then it becomes game 1 of the World Series. And it's like, okay, and he comes up in that spot, and it's like, oh, gosh, like this couldn't really be happening, could it? And then what really did it for me was the flight of the ball is the same flight of the ball we've all seen a million times. Anytime we've seen that clip, it looked exactly the same, and all those things came together, and that's what came out.
We just met that ball not too long ago, right? It's right there. Yes,
right
that
there.
one right there. And I cannot believe the Gibby ball still hasn't been found
yet.
It's
lost to history.
Shocking.
Yeah, it's
but
gone.
Take me here right now as we were listening to that. You went stone face. Everybody in the room, hair stood up. Where did your mind go listening to that?
It doesn't get old for me either. It's cool, man. Like the kid in me still is like, gosh, I can't believe that actually happened. I got to call it. Like, really, and I will never lose that. I'll never lose that perspective of being the kid who dreamt of doing exactly this and now somehow getting to do it.
Yeah, day one, you said you dreamed of doing this.
As soon as you start saying, I want to be this or that when I grew up, I knew.
Who were your guys you looked up to, listened to, emulated?
I grew up in Michigan, and I grew up a Cubs fan. You'll have to forgive me. It was a long time ago.
You're okay. Yeah.
So I grew up listening to, when I was really young, Harry Carey.
Okay, yeah.
And then Chip Carey. His nephew took over for him. Len Casper after him. Pat Hughes, the Cubs radio guy, is, I think, one of the greatest ever. He's in the Baseball Hall of Fame, still doing it. Joe Buck was the one calling all the biggest games when I was a kid, and really up until the time I took over the World Series, I took over for Joe. So that's another crazy one where I grew up being like, wow, how cool would it be to call the World Series like Joe Buck, to going to Fox as a young guy and getting to meet him, and he became a wonderful mentor to me, to him deciding to leave Fox to go to ESPN, and that being what opened the spot for me to come in and take the job.
Wow. Best piece of advice?
Man, he's so many. I think probably just a lot of more like the mental and the mindset side of, in that job, everybody thinks you hate their team. Okay?
Wow.
So
I'm so glad you said that.
true.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's like, and especially in this situation where people in New York know I'm the Dodger guy, so it's added ammo for them to think that I hate the Yankees, even though we want nothing more than the Yankees to be in the World Series because the Yankees are going to rate. That's good for baseball. It's good for Fox, right? But everybody always thinks you hate their team, and I guess most of our conversations, not most, but when you're talking advice, probably the biggest thing is just, like, you can't win, so don't spend too much time worrying about what people think about you because it's, like, what good is that going to do?
Not going to change their minds either.
No, exactly.
They're going to think what they want to think. Joe
Right.
Davis, the voice of the Dodgers, joining us here at Legends Attic, celebrating the one-year anniversary. The Freddie Freeman Grand Slam ball sitting on the table here in front of us as well. You mentioned it. It's a dream come true. You get to call the World Series. You get to call the All-Star Game. You get to call a walk-off home run in the World Series. You also call NFL football for Fox. You've done a whole bunch of different things. Is there something that you haven't gotten to do yet that you'd still like to do? Is there another big event that is on your bucket list?
Honestly, I've gotten to the point where, and that's been something where I've had to do some soul searching and some reflection because it's like you have these dreams. I somehow got to live them really quickly. So I'm, doing the World Series at 34, 35, and a little bit of it is like, okay, now what, right? Because there really isn't another tangible goal that I had that I wanted to accomplish. So it's more just been finding out ways within the gigs that I have, which I don't want anything else. I'd love to do this job forever, love to do the World Series forever, find ways within those jobs to improve and to push myself each day and see how I can make it more about like the whole. And as opposed to me trying to get the next gig and trying to climb the ladder, how can I do a better job at bringing people joy when they're sitting at home listening? And how can I provide a distraction from whatever somebody's going through on a day? Because baseball's there every day, and it's an opportunity, I think, for us and a responsibility for us to, no matter what's going on in our day or no matter how big the game is, to make it fun and make it something that people can enjoy.
We just heard that. I mean, it connects families. It connects people.
Yeah.
And your voice will do that. But I just thought, like, it's a great gig, and you're great at what you do, but how lucky are you that you get to kind of chronicle Shohei Ohtani?
Oh, man. You ain't kidding. It's I don't remember who I was talking to. Somebody from New York was asking just in terms of, like, where he stood. And he's in his own world in terms of aura. Obviously, what he does on the field, he's in his own world. But I mean, there's some big time players in that clubhouse, and that I get to be around during NFL coverage. Nobody has that aura. And part of it is his physical presence. He's
such
huge.
a big guy,
right?
Yeah.
And that's a starting point to it. But there's an aura and a glow about the guy that is different than anything I've ever been around. Even more of a glow and an aura than Oral.
Wow.
So
that's impossible. That's impossible.
DeMarco, you said impossible, and you know what I'm going to say
I know.
next. You know exactly what I'm going to say
Come on.
next.
I made a bet.
We've been talking about this for a while, and the next for Shohei, right? So 50-50 last year. You win the World Series. Pitching, obviously, for the Dodgers for the first time is still something that we're anxious to see. And we were thinking, like, okay, once he's back healthy, doing his thing, hit for the cycle and win the game on the mound the same day.
Ooh.
Like because
Can't be done.
He's hit for the cycle. He's won. They just need. And I'm not saying it's easy, but that's even a realm of possible. DeMarco insists it's
the bet
impossible. I do
is
not.
if he does it, I will do a show naked.
Wow.
That cannot.
Good Lord,
be.
I hope he never does it.
Right. I mean, come on. That would be like the end of baseball if that guy is that good to dominate by himself a Major League Baseball team.
Well, he did 2 years ago, his last healthy season, a doubleheader in Detroit, hit 2 home runs in one game and pitched a shutout in the second game. So, I mean, the impossible stuff, the superhuman stuff, he does all the time. So, him doing that.
So you're telling me stay in shape.
Yeah. Crunches are your
I mean,
friend.
getting naked. That's incredible. Incredible. Oh.
So what do you expect this weekend? Obviously, it's a World Series rematch as far as the teams go. The team, the personnel is a little bit different. The stakes are obviously much different. It's a series at the end of May rather than the World Series. But Is there a little something extra?
Yeah.
Dodgers, Yankees always. Take me through what you expect this week.
Well, I remember last summer in New York, the environment was different than any other regular season series, and you didn't have the background of the teams having met up in the World Series yet. So now that you have the context of this being a World Series rematch, I think it just adds to that. I think the Yankees are angry with how they looked, with how that Game 5 went. I think they probably feel like they have something to prove. I think the Yankees are fascinating in that they lost Juan Soto, and it seems like they're better, and it seems like a perfect case study of the argument, would you rather have the superstar of superstars or 5 really good players? Really good to great players. They went that route because they had to, because Juan Soto chose the Mets. And at this point, it looks like that the answer to that question, which should you have, which would you want to have, would be the depth, because they've been pretty darn good with the 4 or 5 good to great players instead of Soto.
See, I hear the Yankees fans now. He said how they looked, or how the Dodgers called them out for how they looked.
Yeah, they didn't like that.
They didn't like that at all.
Yeah. No.
It's getting any chance this series gets chippy? None. Just
no, I don't think it'd be because of that, but I think that may be one of the little factors, and then the heightened emotions around, like you're saying, is there anything more to it? Yeah, I think that there's an extra buzz and an extra intensity to it. Maybe you layer all those things, and some stuff happens in Game 1, and somebody gets buzzed by a pitch, and a reason
normal
to get
baseball.
Okay. By Sunday, sure.
Joe, take me through your relationship with Oral. I know that one of your sons, his middle name is Oral because of your relationship with Oral. And I've read some things where you talked about when you got the job originally, how important it was that you had Oral there with you.
Yeah. I've said to people, because people ask, like, wow, you took over for Vin. How'd you do it? 2 things. The team wins 100 games a year.
Helps.
If they were losing 100 games a year, people would be like, this guy stinks. Get him out of town. It's terrible news he's delivering. They've won 100 games a year, and then Oral. And my relationship with him and everything he did to make me comfortable, everything he did to go out of his way and validate, rubber stamp anything and everything I said on the air, even if it wasn't right, even if it wasn't exactly how it should have been said. He was there to make sure that I was able to gain credibility, with everything I said. So he's as important as any person in my life story, for sure.
Great guy, great mentor, but he will sling hot ones at you all day.
Yeah,
that's how you know, right?
Once he gets after you, he won't.
So what was going on in your house as a kid where you have the job that you had? Your brother, if I read this right, your brother won an Oscar?
Yeah, I was actually with him last night at a party. Yeah, he won. He moved out here to go to USC Film School.
Okay.
Before I ever had any idea I would be moving out here.
Yeah.
And, he won an Oscar at 25.
Oh, sure. As one does, right?
Crazy.
For
cinematography.
He's a cinematographer, filmmaker.
No way.
Yeah.
What did he win for? Which
documentary short, and he's been a nominee twice more, and he's amazing.
Oh my God.
He used to. So my dad was a high school football coach, and small town, very small production. For filming games, there was a small camcorder, and the head coach had that camcorder. It's just really small business we're talking here. My brother's first movies were taking that camcorder out into the backyard. And actually, the very first time that he took the camcorder out, he dropped it in a little stream behind our house and ruined the camera. So it was not a great sign for what his career was going to be like, but he was able to overcome that.
Older brother, younger brother? Who's got the cooler job? Who wins that?
I think I do. I think I do.
You think you do?
I'm kind of biased. But they're both pretty good.
Yeah,
They're
no
both
doubt.
pretty good. Our last one before we let you go, we're talking with Joe Davis, the voice of the Dodgers. When you're telling a story on the air, and of course you're, like you mentioned a couple of times, that Vin Scully retires and you come in as the next voice there. And one of the things that Vin Scully was so well known for was being able to tell you these stories that may or may not have anything to do with baseball. And they were always, the games, and he's able to keep track of the game perfectly well while he's telling these stories. And I think you do an amazingly good job of that as well as telling the stories. How do you decide when is the time to tell it? How do you tell it? The pacing that you tell it, because it's far more difficult than it looks like or it sounds like.
Yeah, I've studied it. I study storytelling. I go back and listen to myself and critique myself, try to do that once a week, and kind of study those things, because there is no formula, there is no guidebook for how to do that.
Yeah,
I think it's just a feel thing, and I don't know that you're ever going to be perfect if your name's not Vin Scully. So just always trying to get a little bit better at it and time those things out better than I did the game before.
Like, go back and listen to this too?
For sure. On the ride home, yeah.
We'll send you the podcast.
Thank you.
You'll be up to go. Well, like I told D'Marco yesterday, I think the highest compliment that I could pay you is that you stepped into a chair that was impossible to fill, and nobody said a word.
Yeah, you're too kind.
And it was an amazing job, and you continue to do it. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, guys.
Joe
Likewise.
Davis, everybody.